Welcome to Connections and Conversations, an Advocacy Arena podcast, working to increase civic engagement and strengthen our communities. All right. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Connections and Conversations. I am so happy to have with me someone that you're all familiar with. She's been here before, but today we're here to kind of update you on some of the latest things that are going on, and that is Candidly Tiff. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm great, Missy. We're making it. It's a Friday, and we're speaking on a non-Friday, so that's good.
Exactly, which takes me to the thing that I really wanted to let people know about. Since the last time Tiff and I did this one-on-one interview, I asked her to join me on a Substack Live. And we got such great feedback, we started to make it a regular thing. Every other Friday, we're on Substack Live, and it's called Fired Up Fridays. Tell me what you think about it. I'm really loving it, and I think other people are too.
Yeah, and next week will be our 10th episode. Can you believe it? We've actually had some special guests on too, which was Kenny to Ralston Real and Myron Clifton. So that was fun. I love it because 2 weeks, Lord knows so much happens within those 2 weeks that when we get it, we really are fired up about what is happening in the world of politics and just in general. And we didn't try to incorporate last week, try to do the positive things, right? Because there's so much negativity. So I truly enjoy talking to you. We also have like an audience that we are building. And I think that's fun too, because they're in the comments and they know when to join on Fridays and they kind of know what to expect from us. I think the best part of it is building community and giving people a space to be able to hear what's going on, the nuances of what is happening in the world of politics, and hear it from the perspective of two women, right? A Black woman, Afro-Latino woman who live in two different parts of the country. So I live on the East Coast, Dee lives in the South. And so we are bumping ideas against each other. And she's teaching me some history that I've never known. And I'm telling her stuff that's happening here. So I love that about the conversation.
I love the intergenerationality of it because, I'm a boomer and you're with Gen X or...
I am they would call me a geriatric millennial or a zennial.
Because you're kind of on the cusp there.
So I was born in 81. So like the cutoff for Gen X is 80. And I was born 3 months after that. So I'm really, truly in that little weird space.
Right. And I really am kind of in the same space as far as a boomer, because I'm toward the end there. But I think that's also what makes our conversation so unique because we are both politically engaged and it fits my mission for Advocacy Arena of increasing engagement. And I think that it requires us to be able to speak to people from different demographics. And I think that the fact that you and I can have these conversations and relate and learn from one another is really important. And I feel like it gives people an example of things that they can do and conversations they can have in real life.
For sure. No, we talk to people about politics. And it's not the way that we communicate necessarily on Twitter or even a Substack. We're writing stuff on Substack, but a conversation between two people is much different when you're speaking than when you're typing because you can only say but so much in typing. And so, but having the back and forth and the dialogue is really important because, like I said, I'm learning from you. You're learning from me. We are from two different worlds, so to speak. Lots of similarities and lots of things that we have in common. But we also have differences too. That is the most important thing to me is that when people listen to us talk, they are going to walk away learning something, but they're also going to walk away feeling like we're not sadness, that we are still keeping positive, even through all of the trials and tribulations that we have going on, all the things that we're seeing, we're still keeping a positive attitude. And I think people really need that at this time. They need to feel that there is some kind of hope, even when it doesn't feel like that some days. But we are trying to provide that in a way that we are telling the truth, but also being realistic about what is actually happening and what we can do to gain back what we have lost in the last couple of months.
Yes, and I think that we're both able to do that because that is just who we are authentically. Like both you and I are very civically engaged. We want our country to be great. We want it to be able to live up to the promises. And we know that that really takes us, people on the ground. And so we both work to inform people in various different ways. Like you're a great content creator. You do a lot of videos and things that I don't do so much, but I think that it really is important because just like we learn in different ways, people get informed in different ways. They tune in to different voices, different mediums. And I love that you produce videos and you're on TikTok and IG, some of the platforms that I am not on. But I think it's important that we have people who are on those and are engaging. So tell me about the other platforms that you're on, and then we're going to ease into another project that you're working on with some other content creators.
Yeah, well, I've been on Twitter. That's my largest platform. So everybody probably knows me from Twitter. So I've been on there for the longest time. But then that grew into TikTok. And so that's usually where I go and make my videos, put it on all the other platforms, trying to build YouTube. I think that's important because we know during 2024, a lot of people were utilizing YouTube. They like podcasts, they listen to them. That's where they're getting their information from based on what we've seen. So trying to build there as well. And then I still have Blue Sky and Instagram, and that leads to Threads. I think the one app that I'm not on is Spoutable, which you're on. I don't really post too much on Blue Sky. I just post my videos there because I do have people that were on Twitter that are no longer there that I'm like, you know what, let me post it there for them so that they could be able to see it. So I think it's an important thing is to try to build everywhere so that nothing is left unseen. Some platforms I have smaller accounts, some have medium size, some bigger. But the goal is to try to get people to see the videos that may not necessarily see them otherwise. And what I like to talk about is about civics, how do bills get made, what needs to happen. We have an upcoming fight on, a shutdown as possible and the next funding bill that needs to be passed. These are the things that I focus on. I am truly a civics buff. I love anything that has to do with the Senate, the House, local government, trying to understand how all of that plays in together. And so that's kind of my passion. Also elections, right? We have 2026 coming up.
And I think that's what I love. And that's where I feel like the different areas that we focus on, when we combine those areas of interest and expertise, we make a pretty dynamic duo. Because you actually studied this in school, even though that's not the work that you do, but you're obviously very passionate about it and very well informed. And you're able to inform other people because we talk about this a lot, that the education system currently does not provide civics training. So a lot of young people who get involved in politics really don't have an understanding of civics. And I do think that it really is important because it helps to let them know when things are possible and when they're not, or how, as you said, bills get passed. Because, you just can't go up there and scream and protest and hold up signs and say, we demand this bill, So there's a process, and it's important for people to understand the process. So I feel like those videos and things that you do to give people that civic understanding is critical. It's very important. And you do it in a way that is not like lecturing or whatever, and you relate it to stories and things that are going on, which I think makes it easier for people to take in and to remember. So I applaud you in that, and I know you're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, whether people like it or not, I'm still going to do it. It's just something because I feel like I always say, not even just young people, but a lot of people that are older, they just kind of forgot how the whole process works. Think about it. My husband was in school 30 years ago. He was in high school. He doesn't remember everything.
I'm the same. Get reminded of things. I was like, she's right.
People just forget about it. But I go to sleep, wake up thinking about all these process things. And so I just think people just don't really understand the flow of how things work and the how powerless truly the House and the Senate are and when you're in the minority. There's only but so many checks and there's only but so many balances that are allowed when you have rules. And how do you get around those rules? And most people don't know the rules. I do. So I try to explain them, even though they're complicated.
Yes, like that Robert's Book of Rules, it was not one of the, I talked about the time that I worked for the mayor, and that was one of the first things he gave me. Everything else about that job I loved, but that Robert's Books of Rules, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, government equals rules. And a lot of people don't want to play by the rules anymore. So how do you get around those rules? And they're trying to find ways.
Right. And to get around them, you have to know what they are. That's, again, where I come in is informing people. Like, I love history. I'm a history nerd. That's kind of my thing. And I try to relate historical events to current events because all of these things are connected. And that is also an area in our education system now that is lacking because we have all of these organizations and now the federal government who is determining what can be taught and what can't. And so I lean into history because it's like, I don't care if you don't teach it. I don't care if you take it out of the books. I don't care if you take it out of the museums. Like, this is knowledge and you can't take it away. So I keep trying to pass that on to other people because, again, I know a bit of history of other countries and things too, like Germany. I spent a decade there. And I wish that we would take a lesson from them because they do teach their history, all of the awful parts, because that's how you learn. That's how you prevent yourself from recreating some of the horrible aspects of the past. And I just have to believe that since you don't want people to know about some of these horrible aspects of our history, it's so that you can run those cards again.
Keep people ignorant, then they don't know the path and they can't connect the dots between the two.
Yeah, I'm big on connecting the dots. We want to go to another project that you're working on that I absolutely love. And that's a collaboration with two other content creators, Too Raw, Too Real, and Zach. And I just love it, what you're doing, because I keep telling people we're in an information war. And it is really, really critical that we create these streams of information and nodes on the information infrastructure for people to be able to come to and know that they're going to get good information, up-to-date information, and oftentimes in a more authentic way, because, again, they are trying to take away, legacy media, putting controls on that. So they aren't able to inform us. And then also they're more into entertainment. So they're not even really trying to inform us. They stay focused on these sensational aspects of stories and events. And I love that you guys are really smart. You all have your unique voices and audiences. And like me, you dig into stories and to the context of them that we're not going to get on mainstream media. So I would love for you to tell the community about the work you're doing with the other two great content creators. And I think you guys call yourselves the Big Three.
Yes, the Big Three. I was not originally part of the Big Three, but then I kind of came in maybe episodes 5 or 6. Adore Zach and Kenny. So we've known each other for a really long time. We have a great connection with one another. So it's flowed really easy. I am proud to be part of their group. We just have real conversations every Wednesday at 10 p.m. We go on YouTube Live and we just talk about whatever is happening for that week. I enjoy that conversation because it is different from our conversation.
Yes.
They are both in the LGBTQ community. Zach is from the South. Kenny lives here, but he is from the South. And it's just a different vibe, but it works. And they have huge accounts. Like, they have way bigger accounts than I do. But I think for them, I kind of bring the softness to for the show.
You are, because I've watched it. I watched them from the beginning, and I do think that adding you has made it better. Because, like you said, a little softness, but it's also these three different wonderful perspectives. And it's just like like three friends talking who are very well informed, and you draw people in. I love it. Like I said, I look forward to it. I'm going, are y'all having it this week?
I know. And we have a good audience. You're one of the people that usually join on the regular. And we like to joke around, right? It's not a serious show. Like, it is serious, but it's not. Like, we have jokes, we laugh, we make fun of people. I mean, we do. And it's not people that we like, obviously. There's some people. And we have jokes on them, but it's funny. It's like a good banter back and forth. And we do serious things too. Like this week, we actually interviewed Hakeem Jeffries, Leader Jeffries.
Yes. And that was absolutely beautiful. I just want to applaud you guys, and I am looking for big things from you. I would love for you to tell me a little bit about that, how you felt about it, and then I would like to give you some of my feedback after watching it.
You know, it was kind of spur of the moment on Tuesday. Zach was like, hey, do you guys want to do an interview with Leader Jeffries? And I was like,
of course.
So we scheduled it. And, of course, in Tiffany fashion, I was going to come prepared because that's what I do. So I already knew what I wanted. As soon as he said it, I already knew what I was going to ask, because I had talked about this even on our show on Friday, and even on the week before on Wednesday's show about the possibility of a shutdown. So that was my question. I was like, I need to know what he's doing, because that really bothered me the first go round in March, that we were not prepared for that. And so I'm like, okay, I got him. I'm going to ask this question. And, that was kind of my thing that I wanted to ask him. But I thought, he was more comfortable than usual. He is usually pretty kind of like cookie cutter.
Ultra professional,
Also professional, respectability politics, all of that. And you're on TV and people are asking you gotcha questions, right? So that's where most people see him. And so I was happy he came with his little hat on, his shirt. He was himself and he was ready to talk. And he was happy to be there, which is always a good thing when your guest is happy to be there and able to talk to you. So it was really good. He had met Zach and Kenny before, so I'm sure that helped. He didn't know me. I've never spoken to him. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. Sometimes, and also where they're on recess, so they're not in the house. So it's a little different vibe where
more relaxed.
He was, probably in his office, but it wasn't so much emotion and things happening where you're running and everything. So we had him for a good half an hour to just ask what we wanted. There was no controls around it. And we asked about the things that were most important. Redistricting, which is a big deal happening now. And then we also asked about the potential shutdown and just messaging period for 2026. Like, what are we messaging on? How do we move forward? And I thought he gave some long-winded but good answers. He likes to talk within a way, so he wanted to give thorough answers. And I don't think that the media ever really allows him to give thorough answers. So it's kind of a gift and a curse, because you want the person to give you like the full-throated answer, but then of course you want to get all your questions in too. But I appreciated the time that he took to be able to speak to us, because I thought that the questions that we asked were really good, and he answered them in the best way he could. And he was himself. He got a little fired up at some point, and I was like, oh, that's my guy. And so that made me feel good. That made me feel like, okay, he was comfortable enough to talk.
Well, I would agree with all those things that you said. And that was one of the things that I noticed right away. He came in comfortable attire. So he was very relatable. And the way that he spoke to you guys and responded, I could tell he was at ease. And he gave really thoughtful answers. And it really gave him an opportunity to show how much he cares, what they're working on. And it, like I said, I feel like, as you said, when they're on these legacy media shows or whatever, they know the gotcha question is coming. And it's like, how do I parse this? And so I felt like he didn't have to worry about any of that. And I do feel like he was energized by you guys. And so what I'm hoping is that because he knew that you were informed and engaged and that you were in his corner. So I am hoping that more of them are able to see that and will come and talk to some of us, like we independent, reporters that, are not your traditional mainstream type of shows and outlets, because I do think it will give them a better opportunity to connect to people in an authentic way, like the podcast that Jamie Harrison is doing. Like he is interviewing these people and we get to see them in a way with depth and context.
You can actually see the personality of the person. You can see kind of the thoughts that are in their head that they don't necessarily get to say because there's so many restrictions and they feel like if they say the wrong thing that somebody's going to come after them, or all of these things that Democrats have to kind of in their
Deal.
when they're speaking. Yeah, it's like a lot. And so I feel like that helps to be able to make the person feel comfortable to talk. I think overall it was a really good interview. We hope to do another one, hopefully after we go through this government shutdown craziness. If that ever happens, hopefully we can pass a bill. But I hope that we would be able to speak to him again because we have a long road ahead of us going into 2026. And we have races that we need to win, and none of them are congressional races. I mean, the congressional races that are special elections, we know we're going to win. We will have a full House by November, hopefully, fingers crossed. Texas 18, the election, that special election is in November to fill the seat that was once Representative Sheila Jackson leaves, and then it moved to Sylvester Turner, who passed away in February. So rest in peace to both of them. And so we have somebody that's going to fill that seat, and it's going to be a younger person. I know they were doing a town hall last night for that. So we will be at full strength, which is 215, finally by November. And that will give us a better chance to stop some of the things that these Republicans are trying to do. So we want the House to be at full strength, even if it's not a majority, that still alleviates some of the pains of when Republicans are not for some of these bills. They have to come up with the votes. So from a civics perspective, I want everybody there. I know Leader Jeffries wants everybody there. And we have a better chance of killing some of these bills if we're at full force. And then we can go on to 2026 with a positive outlook. Because people, I do believe, and I know you hear it too, there's a lot of people that are very negative on Leader Jeffries. And I have my criticisms, and we all have our criticisms of him. One of the main criticisms is his communication, right? We want him to be more authentic. We want him to be more real. We want to see a fired up Hakeem Jeffries. We don't want to see the professional Hakeem Jeffries. We know what you are professionally. We know you can hold down your caucus, but we need you to fight fire with fire. And that's what we were trying to convey to him.
Exactly. And I love that because we understand the constraints that he has, but there is a way for him to express it, like through these content creators and coming into spaces and places where he can have more authentic, elongated kind of conversations. So I do hope he comes back, and I am looking forward to you guys tapping into some other important leaders and figures and trying to bring them in, because I think in this information war, it is critical that we establish ourselves as sources of information. And we are small, but we are mighty. And so
that's right. And if all of us collectively do them, then we will build a network of sources for people to come to. So when they do want news or they want to just have somebody, like you said, anger translator, sometimes we are that, right? We are channeling that energy, whether it's positive or just venting. We are still channeling that energy that a lot of people have, but don't have the platforms or don't want to get on a camera and talk to people. I know at some point I didn't want to talk on camera. I just wasn't comfortable doing it. And then at one point, I think it was, I want to say 2021, like I think it was the Chantel Brown and Nina Turner race. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be scared of the camera anymore. I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk, and all the stuff that I'm writing, I can be able to express it in front of a camera. And that's how I started doing TikToks. So, even so, it's still 3, 4 years later, it's still, okay, I have to watch what I say sometime because my dad always yells at me because I'm always cursing. So I don't even invite him to my Wednesday show because I'm always cursing on that when I'm at his hours. So there, you have different audiences and different people. Like everybody likes something different. And that's kind of where we are. I'm not a podcast person, but even myself, I found myself watching more. This week, I watched the Jamie Harrison and Gavin Newsom one. So good. Loved it because a lot of people do not understand how the DNC works. And I thought he gave a wonderful breakdown of how that works. It's really important information to get to know these people because we don't know them from a personal level. We just know them from a political standpoint. And as we move into 2028, I want to be able to know these people to make a sound decision to be like, yeah, I don't like that person, or I do like that person. I can make a sound decision on who I want from my candidate.
Exactly. And that's what we're looking for, information to be able to base decisions on who we want to represent us, because it is a democratic republic and we, the people, get to decide. But we need information to be able to make well-informed decisions that are going to help us get the quality of life that we want in our communities. As always, time has flown. I really do love that we had an opportunity to come back and do this on my podcast. And I love what we're building on Fired Up Friday. So, we're just working in lots of venues. And as you said, it's so important. And I think it's important for us to start that work, start building that audience and these projects and things now, because we know when we get into the election season, it will be crazy. And I feel like if we're already established, we can be a source of good information and calmness in the storm of it all for people, because people are confused and they're looking for places and people to get that information from. And I feel like even though we're small, the community that we're building trusts us to deliver.
That's the main thing, is trust, because people know that we're going to be honest about our feelings. They know that we're going to tell them accurate information on what we have read ourselves. This is not a lot of it is feeling, but also it's about facts too. Like we want to be able to bring facts. A lot of people don't read the newspaper. I read it every day and I know what's going on. We are definitely news junkies, but I think you and I both are not like cable news junkies. We are more so, hey, let's read, let's look at the local news, let's see what people are saying and find out what's happening in our own communities. And I think that's really important. I wish more people would do that, because if you watch the news, your local news is totally different than what's being spewed on cable news. I mean, it's like night and day. Sometimes they have similar stories, but you have to objectively be able to listen to the information and then think about what it is that you're listening or reading, and then take that information and figure out how you get that conveyed to other people. So I do think it's really important that people do read, especially news, and not so much the cable news, because it's not good for your health. It's really not.
It isn't. And I have a lot of different sources that I get my news from, and NPR and PBS are really kind of two of my favorites, because it's just like old-fashioned vanilla plain news. Like they're just, I don't get all the opinions and all of those things. And they really, each of them have local outlets so that they focus on the local stories and things too. So I think that's important. And I think the work that you're doing, that we're doing together, is important. And as we kind of wrap up here, I'd just like to give you, as always, an opportunity for some closing thoughts or words.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate all you do, Ms. D, between Advocacy Arena and this platform, and then as well as our Fired Up Friday and Substack, all the beautiful things that you write. That, again, you teach me so much about, history and what we have, comparisons to what we have going on now. And a lot of people need to start connecting those dots, because we start to see kind of the repeated cycle of what has happened in the past. So I absolutely adore you. And I'm so glad that we can connect every other Friday. So make sure you tune in to Fired Up Fridays on Substack. And if you missed it, we both put it on our YouTube, so you can watch it there too. We just want you guys to be able to see what we're talking about and get something out of the time that we spend together for that hour.
I agree. Thank you so much. And again, adore you. Love being able to talk to you in the various different ways that we connect. And I do believe that we have something beautiful and we are trying to share it. So thanks for coming. Thank you for listening to Connections and Conversations. This is one of many wonderful interviews that we bring to you to help connect you to a larger community of advocates and changemakers across the country. You'll get a glimpse into the various ways people are making an impact in their communities. My hope is that it will inspire you to get engaged in some small way as well. We can't all do everything, but at this moment in history, we can all do something. What are you doing? One of the things you can do is to continue to listen, subscribe, and share this Advocacy Arena podcast. You can also join and support the growing grassroots Advocacy Arena community in other ways. Join our weekly live chats hosted on Spoutable every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to our Substack to get great articles on important topics and exclusive access to extended interview conversations. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We've got some exciting programming lined up. And keep listening to our regular podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, subscribe and give us that all-important 5-star review.